Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, and the Shark. Today is our 139th episode, and we're discussing the 2019 The Magicians episode, Home Improvement. So, let's get things started.
Magic.
Perfect way to start the show. Go ahead, Matt. Yeah, sadly, there is no Tim Allen in this episode, which would have been an improvement. Let's do it that way.
Neither Dark Magician, even though this is called The Magicians, but I digress.
Yeah.
Improvement, you say? A home improvement?
Classic. Sorry. Our episode is not just going to be us making Tim Allen noises, even though that would be funny.
But get used to that line. You're going to hear it a lot.
Yes, especially with the context of the show. But finally, getting to it. The Magicians is a 2010 sci-fi channel TV show that is based on a book series on the same name. The show is about a group of people that engross inside of a fantasy world, with the main character, Quentin, going into a wizarding university called Breakbills. And one thing to point out immediately, unlike when we talk about other shows on the podcast, for this episode, we are only going to be talking about the plot line that pertains to the podcast, that being the one with the dragoness in it. This is because this show is an episodic one, and if you have not seen every single episode of this show, or even any previous episode of this show, like a lot of us did, you are going to be completely incomprehensible with this show. This makes no sense. I watched the whole thing, and I was scratching my head for 3/4 of it, so we're talking about the plot line that pertains mostly to us. Our apologies for any fans of The Magicians watching this, but we're sure there's other podcasts out there that could do that thing better. Go ahead and run.
Yeah, I hold the prodigious honor of binging the series up to that certain episode, and even I can get a little confused. There's so much to ultimately keep in mind when watching a drama like this. Thankfully, I have experience with stuff like this, especially with shows like Warehouse 13, who aren't exactly as information-packed as The Magicians, but can still feel a little daunting to those who aren't as experienced. Anyways, go ahead, Math.
I'm going to let everyone know before we even jump into this. This is a real show. This actually aired on a cable channel. We are not making this up. We are not exaggerating with what we're going to be saying. This is real. This is what happened in the show.
Exactly. Shark?
Now, maybe some of you will hear what we have to say and be like, oh, this ain't so bad. I've seen way worse stuff on the internet. Emphasis on internet there, because what we're going to talk, let us repeat, was aired on TV. Normal people will witness what we're about to discuss.
Oh, get ready for a lot of world-shattering things, my friend. Get ready.
Yes. This episode itself, or at least the part of the plot line, begins with Quentin being woken up by a mysterious figure. The figure, who is called the monster in the show, mentions he is unable to sleep and his stomach feels like he has ants in them. Blau Elise would know how that feels. If you don't get that joke, go back to our Pink Panther episode and watch that. A little bit of homework for you, haha. Quentin says that the man is going through drug withdrawals as the guy demands more drugs. But before that, go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, think about this. The character being possessed is known as Elliot. Elliot himself is a vibe, and currently his soul is stuck inside his own body, courtesy of the monster. As of right now, his body is being abused and ultimately held hostage by this very beast that even the gods fear. Yeah, keep in mind, this guy kills gods, like Iris and, to an extent, Bacchus, but yeah, he is not to be trifled with. And they know that, for good reason.
A guy that kills God? Is he being possessed by Kirby?
No.
He would swallow them if that were the case, but yeah, I don't think it's Kirby.
If he was Kirby, he would be a lot nicer because he would just want to eat watermelons and play with his friends and say, "Booyah!" all the time.
Yes.
Quentin says he can't get drugs for Elliot and that they had a deal, but Elliot says that Quentin promised him to find a god so he could not be in this body. He says that the deal is off. Quentin shows the guy some artifacts in his book, but Elliot says that the mandrake god is dead and to find his peace. Quentin begs for another day of relief, as Elliot says that there is a man inside the television who has earned his wrath, and he leaves. I hope he's not talking about the realistic fish head.
Oh boy. Bikini Bottom, beware.
Elliot disappears as Katie walks in the room, talking about the exit of Elliot. Quentin notes they need an artifact from the black market. Katie says that she knows someone, but Julie is not going to like it. We cut to the three of them talking about the fact that the person who knows about it is Pete, someone that Julie has had a bad experience with. She says that Pete is untrustworthy and a creep, but there's one thing you can say about Pete: at least his son respects him.
Nice.
But Pete then arrives, claiming that his name is Lovelady now. Quentin notes that they need help from anyone that they can get as Julie leaves to get a drink. In a joke that actually got a chuckle out of me, Lovelady laments that Julie made his new name, Lovelady, sound lame. And it's the way the actor delivers it that really got a good laugh out of me. Good on you, show.
Yep.
Pete, aka Lovelady, then pulls out his phone and shows them some artifacts, including a stone that petrifies anything that it touches, as well as a cursed pipe organ. He then shows them another stone as Quentin takes the phone, saying that is what they need. Pete, aka Lovelady, says that the artifact is in the horn of a dragon, noting that they're real. Both Katie and Quentin mention that they've met at least 3 dragons. Lovelady, aka Pete, says that the dragon is from New York, as Quentin asks if it is the one from the Hudson tunnels. Pete, aka Lovelady, and yes, I will stop doing that, sorry about that, says that the dragon is from the East River, as Katie calls her a garbage dragon. Obviously, what we needed was Jerry Seinfeld to go there to be like, the East River? The dragon is swimming in the East River? The most heavily trafficked, overly contaminated waterway on the eastern seaboard? Go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, also, another little moment, but that's coincidentally where Lee lived for a time. So, yeah, another Turtles connection.
And yeah, honestly, that description is probably the last place you will try to look for a magical creature of legends.
Indeed. Also, all 3 of them are female that they have encountered, so pretty crazy world they live in, huh? Anyways, go ahead, Math.
I will say, as an outsider looking in, and this might be because this is developed as the show has gone on, the actors portraying these batshit insane ideas and concepts so nonchalantly does help make this funny.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's like unintentionally funny, but it has a lot of good moments too. Quentin asks how to get an audience with the dragon, as Pete says they have to see her herald. Katie is amused that the dragon has an assistant, as Pete tells them they have to be there at 9 o'clock. Quentin notes they only have a few hours to get something that can impress a dragon, and obviously there's only one thing that they have to get. They have to get a performance from Boys Who Cry, and hopefully not Squidward singing Four-Ply.
Nice.
Quentin leaves as Katie then looks around to give something for the dragoness, while Pete reminds that her friends are nice. Katie asks that this will make them even, as Pete says no because she saved his life and he has to repay her. Pete says that he is nothing but loyal, and then asks Katie if she is ready to deal with the real crisis instead of helping out her friends. He brings it that the hedges are blowing up the library branches, which makes them all look bad. And it's at this point that I, as someone who had never watched that show, had to stop it and basically say, what the hell am I watching here? You know? They throw in all this exposition for stuff that if you have never seen the show before, like if you're just flipping channels and you see this show and you're like, oh, that sounds like fun, and you watch it, it makes 0 sense to you. I mean, like I said, exactly. Yeah, get used to that. That's going to be the running gag of this episode. Pete then says that they're making the library cards mandatory. I know one guy who wouldn't mind that, Arthur Reed, because as we know, having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card.
Yep.
Indeed.
They're also restricting spells. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, the library at first is basically just this info center of like everything around their particular part of the multiverse. But then a certain little someone by the name of Irene McAllister decided to pretty much monopolize magic, and now the library works for her. And she's basically the main reason why everything is a soft authoritarianism, as it were.
I have this person printed in my notes as 23, although Angron can probably describe them better. Arrives in the room as Katie is surprised to see him. 23 asks about Shoshana as Katie says that she is dead. 23 apologizes for what happened to Shoshana as Katie says that Elliot is still alive and they have to help the monster, and that's why she drinks. And Sadly, the monster is not Boris Karloff, because that would be too awesome for words.
Yes.
Go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, the monster's just Elliot. But anyways, 23. Penny, as he used to be known, is a traveler, as in a person who can shift between dimensional planes. Unfortunately, their Penny in timeline 40 is left his body via astral projection and sadly died because of magical cancer. This Penny, Penny 23, comes from a timeline where pretty much everyone is dead. He and one or two others were the only sole survivors, and now Penny 23 is part of the group as their Penny.
Mathmachine is right, because he just said the phrase in timeline 40 tells me everything I need to know, and I agree with him 100%, because, yeah, if we're doing, like, sliding multiple timelines here, this show, it's a very tangled up knot. Like, it's one of those things, you have to start with episode 1. You can't be like us to start with episode, like, 54 or whatever, you know?
Yeah, thankfully, unlike Marvel, this does not require several side stories and TV shows just to get the gist of. So, thankfully, I managed.
23, and that's what I'm still going to call him, says that he needs a drink as he has a message for Julie. Julie arrives as 23 tells her that he has been timeline jumping. He mentions that her Penny is dead, but he's still doing good. Katie asks how that is supposed to make her feel good, as he says he told her to let him go and she'll be happy. She storms off after this, as after this we cut to the other plot line of the episode, which is very, very weird, let's say.
That describes the show, honestly. That sentence alone really weird. It's anything you need to know about this.
Yep, you could just hear us saying that over and over and get the gist of it as well. When we get back to the Dragoness plotline, we cut to a dock during the day as Quentin and Katie approach it. Katie is going to give the Dragoness a telescope, as she laments it's too small for the Dragoness. Quentin sarcastically remarks that he is out of baby teeth. We then see a businessman sitting on the dock of the bay, not wasting time, but he's instead frantically answering phones. He turns out to be the Herald of the Dragon, whose name is Harold. And this is probably the funniest moment of the episode for me right here. He notes that the reason he got the role was because he, quote, answered a very confusingly worded help wanted ad and says that he's very busy, which has me picturing a giant dragoness storming up to a news agency and requesting that an ad be placed in the paper. That really, it's the mental image of that makes me laugh really hard.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
The Herald named Harold, who is just a legit businessman, I feel like, well, yes, that is the funniest joke in this. I feel like that was made for everyone coming into this. Be like, what the fuck is this? Oh, hey, there's an actual funny joke. Thank you. I needed that.
Yeah, you got all this complicated mumbo-jumbo involving magic, multiple worlds, this one fictional world that was created by some kid diddler, which, yeah, I'm not going to get into. And then we got jokes like this, where it's a herald named Harold, which, to be perfectly honest, sounds like a very hilarious D&D character. I would probably say paladin or barbarian, but that's just me. Funny thing is, there's going to be a few more interesting little jokes later on this caliber, so stay tuned. Anyway, Shark.
Business dragons here. I guess this is where Babe and Cosma come from.
That would be awesome if they showed up. That would make things a lot better. Katie and Quentin note that it might be about an item that got stolen and that they could help Harold and his boss get it back. Harold says that he doubts they could help, as Quentin and Julie ask what it is. He pulls out a laptop and shows them a vial. Sadly, it is not the vial from Bartok the Magnificent, because that would be awesome if it was. He says that the elixir within is worth more than their lives, and that the East River Dragon will give them anything they want to have it back. He says that the thief used a dart to steal the elixir, as Quentin takes it, saying that they will do it. He walks off with Julie, as he says that he knows the place that the thief stole it from, which is Fillery, the magic otherworld where the series takes place. When we cut back to the Dragoness plotline, Quentin knocks on a door to be created by Poppy. Sadly, this is not Poppy Kong, because that would be awesome. He asks what she is doing there, as she congratulates him on getting his magic back. He shows her the dart and says that she attacked the dragon because she is, quote, a dragon-obsessed crazy person, to which I say, hey, I didn't know he's seen the podcast before.
I mean, it's more like I'm a dragon-obsessed person, and everyone here is like, get to the back of the line, please.
Yeah, take a number.
Perfect. Go ahead, Matt.
I would like to note that Poppy is played by the Queen of the Geeks herself, Felicia Day.
He then notes that she is sweating very profusely as she opens the door to reveal she is massively pregnant. Here it begins. Right down here, people. Mark your notes and mark your calendars. This is where it starts to go off the rails here.
Yes. Yeah. It's weird enough that we have talking animals, werewolf STDs, and a bunch of other stuff that I somewhat already mentioned for the most part, but step aside because now we get into the real meat and potatoes with, listen very closely now, dragon pregnancy.
Yep, you'll find out how in a second, but before that, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, this might be some of, if not the weirdest thing we have ever said in the podcast to date. Viewer discretion is advised and probably warned for your own sanity.
Yeah, it is also probably the most adult thing we have discussed on the podcast for a while. So again, don't show your kids this, but then again, what are your kids doing listening to this podcast in the first place, Nick? Go ahead, Shark.
And reminder, once again, this was on live TV. Your mother could be watching TV channel surfing and came across this, so get ready.
Here we go, people. We then cut to Julie entering the house as Quentin arrives. Quentin asks Julie what is she doing there, as he asks the same. Notes that she should have been back hours ago, as what happens, they had to put a locator on Quentin. He then notes that Quentin is holding a pot of chili. It's for SpongeBob and the guy that likes the chili! She then follows him to where Poppy is standing by a bunch of heat lamps, as Julie notes how pregnant she is. Poppy admits that was her dart, but someone else stole it from her. She says that she is not stupid enough to cross a dragon, as Julie asks what she's doing there. Poppy says that she needs a place to gestate, as Quentin says that he is going to be a father. That's the big commercial cliffhanger there, and yeah, that's a pretty big one. That is a really, really big one, and it gets even better from there, folks. When we get back to the dragon... Yep. When we get back to the Dragoness plotline, Judy, Katie, and 23 are talking about all their theories about what happened. Julie is convinced that Poppy stole from the dragon, but Katie says that Quentin is all in on it, saying how he wants to be a father. 23 says that he does not trust Poppy and that something is wrong. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Strap yourselves in, get a nice glass of water so you can spit it all over your monitor, because here we go. Katie then notices a book of Dragon on Dragoness erotica called, and this is exactly what it is called, The Dragon Riders of Horn. It is written by Poppy herself, and apparently, according to the cover, is a bestseller. And I want to point out here, people, because we are through the looking glass, a television show that aired on actual basic cable showed dragon erotica and paid somebody to draw dragon erotica on television. This is probably one of the weirdest things we have ever watched, and God bless whoever writer thought to themselves, oh, let's do an episode like this, and let's actually commission some dragon artwork. Why do you want to commission dragon artwork? Reasons?
Yeah. But yes, believe it or not, the very person who made this actually posted this on their Twitter. It is also on another place that I leave up to you to find. But yeah, this is an actual thing that was actually posted and was actually made and is publicly available. So I would encourage you to go find it. But then again, we probably lose revenue if we got paid anyway. So go nuts. Anyways, Matt.
So first, this is supposed to be a parody of the Dragon Riders of Pern, so nice joke there. But secondly, not only is this real, does this actually exist? They paid someone to draw this, which that's just insane in the first place. They show it full fucking screen.
I was gonna mention, like, oh, they don't just mention it, they don't just show the cover. No, they open the book and they outright show you the image that it contains. And again, live TV.
Yep.
Oh, yes. And we'll get to that right now, because before that, go ahead, Matt.
I think my favorite detail from that book is the fact that it mentions in it that quakes are actually from dragons mating. So the San Andreas fault line, nah, it's just from fucking.
Great Chicago earthquake. We're basically just a full-on dragon orgy. It's like,
yeah. Oh God.
That would be crazy. And
yep. What happens next is Katie notes how detailed the comic book is, as 23 finds the elixir bottle in the garage. 23 notes it is empty, and they wonder why, then stare at her. When we cut back to the plotline again, Poppy is cradling her massive belly as the trio sit and stare at her. Quentin arrives, carrying a bag of sand and saying that Poppy wants it to feel like a beach. Obviously, he has now made an enemy for life of Anakin Skywalker.
Nice.
23 notes that Quentin is not acting normal. Katie then reads through the book, showing it to the others. And again, as we mentioned, basically the depiction of the dragon and the dragoness having sex is actually censored. But the original version was also censored in a way, which makes it really, really weird.
Yeah, a censor upon a censor. Pretty bizarre. Anyways, Matt.
But, yep.
I feel like what happened here is when they originally printed it and they printed it censored, the blurry style that you sometimes see, they figured, oh, this is good enough. We can actually show this on screen because these are just, not only are these animals, they're fictional animals, and we've censored anything that could be seen as bad. And the actual network censors looked at it and went, no.
That's probably exactly what happened. But we then get to the biggest what the hell moment of this episode, because the comic panel is a male ejaculating inside of a dragoness, as they note that the elixir is, get ready for this, people, dragon semen. This is an actual television show that aired on cable. I'm sorry if we beat it in, we sound like broken records, but it is true. This aired on television. And that's not even the best part. We're going to get to the best part in just a second. Yep. 23 throws the bottle to the floor in disgust as they wonder why Poppy would steal it. Poppy tells them that Quentin is not really the father, as, here we go, people, Poppy impregnated herself with the dragon semen. That it actually happened on a television show. I have to imagine people that watch it for the first time just staring at like their cable guide and being like, what the fuck am I watching? You know? Because she basically turkey basted herself with dragon semen. And again, this is the most adult thing we've ever discussed. It's going to be so weird when next week we go from this and talking about something like Ninja Turtles, you know? It's going to be like, that is partially why I love this podcast, to find stuff like this and talk about it, because, man, this is definitely was an experience to watch, and we hope that you're enjoying it too.
Yeah, seriously. This is the same TV channel that gifted us shows like Warehouse 13, Stargate SG-1, and Atlantis, and maybe another series I'm not thinking of, but anyways, and also Battlestar Galactica. This is the same people that made those, and also Happy. This, of all things, was allowed by them. Good lordy, my childhood TV channel was based as all hell. Not basted, based. Anyways, go ahead, Matt.
If anyone ever calls us weird or disturbing, I am forever going to be referencing that a cable TV show talked about, quite literally, oh, I turkey basted myself with dragon jizz. You have no room to complain about us anymore.
Yeah, I think this point is where many people did like in the ending of I had an accident episode of SpongeBob where they just turned off the TV. Hopefully it was the same scene, but without kids, so...
Well, it's about enough life for me for one day. I'm just gonna...
Yes. 23, of course, like everyone else watching this show, has several thousands of questions, as Poppy explains that dragons are basically universal sperm donors, and says that she can't wait to see what kind of hybrid comes from it. Julie asks how large the child will be, as she says she has no idea, but, quote, it's going to be epic. So we know this was a 2010s TV show, if they're still using the word epic in it. Poppy then gets angry and tells them to back off, saying no one is going to steal her baby away. Julie says that magical pregnancies can mess with her head, as Quentin puts his hand on her stomach. Julie has the others go with her, as she explains to Katie and 23 that the dragon fetus is what's making Quentin act crazy. Julie notes its touch, then flips to another page of the comic, and here we go. Actual dialogue alert from this show. We're sorry if we're like overreacting to this, but I mean, for people of this podcast to see a show like this is really something else. But so here it is. Actual dialogue from this show. 23. So, it's dragoness pregnancy porn. Katie, don't kink shame, all right?
Yep.
So, yeah, that is actual dialogue on this actual show.
I will gladly kink shame, thank you. We have now had 2 separate instances of this show full screening the dragon porn comic. I would like to repeat, you have no room to complain about us anymore.
There's two other plot lines in this episode. One involving all the talking animals in the mythical world Fiery not being able to talk anymore, and one of the characters, Margot, going on a quest to save them. And another plot line involving Alice trying to save her friend who just discovered magic from being inducted into the library. This just blew them out of the water, like hands down.
It's hard to compete with this. It's like, why do you need two other plot lines? You wanted the show to be 45 minutes, but it's like, you didn't need it this time. This week, you could have had the actors come out and say, we're sorry that the episode is shorter than usual, but we made it really weird, so we hope you like it. They could have just had that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if that actually happened on a show other than this at one point.
Yeah. But Katie then explains that dragon babies release protective pheromones that cause anyone who touches the stomach to feel the need to protect the baby. 23 asks what they are going to do. When we cut back to the Dragoness plotline after one of the other ones, we see the group asking what they can do now that the elixir is gone. Katie reads the comic as she notes that it takes dragon eggs over 3 years to gestate, but Poppy only stole the elixir last week. They wonder how she could be so pregnant in such a short time as they confront her, and the show did a bait and switch on us. There is a dragon egg in her closet, and she is not pregnant with a dragon. It is just a normal human pregnancy, which actually makes it worse because it's like, why would you lie about that, you know?
Crazy dragon fanatic. What can we say?
I know, but it's like, why would you lie that, oh yeah, I'm pregnant with the dragon? It's like, oh, okay. Did you think that was not going to make them confront you more? Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Matt.
So I call BS on this one. I know for a fact they wanted to have it so that she was actually pregnant, but because this is sci-fi, they didn't have the budget for something like that, so they went with the actual dragon egg.
Poppy says they did that because of misdirection. Quentin says it was so they wouldn't find Falcor. Poppy argues with Quentin over the name he's giving the dragon, as Julie asks how she fertilized the egg. Poppy basically explains that the dragons work like fish. She sprayed the elixir over the egg, which managed to fertilize it. Katie points out how the egg is making them crazy, as 23 reaches for the egg as Poppy and Quentin both threaten him. And it's here we get the biggest moment of the episode, folks, because here we go. 23 says that he wants to lick the egg and then does so. This is completely out of nowhere. This has nothing to do with the episode. This is like the actor said, hey, with this giant egg prop, would it be funny if I licked it? And the directors are like, why not? Go nuts.
Ad-libbing at its finest, people.
He offers it to Julie, who takes the egg, but she's not affected because magic does not affect her currently. Katie then pulls a gun out on the egg, threatening the others to follow her as they all cry but do so. When we finally get back to the Dragoness plotline, we cut to them all arriving to the dock at night as 23 is holding Harold hostage as Quentin and Poppy demand the egg, which this feels like something got cut out, you know? Like, because we just randomly cut to it and Harold is being held hostage. It's like, okay, you missed a step here or something, you know?
Seems that way, but it makes some sense for the most part.
Part of the danger of doing many plot lines in a single episode, you run out of time for one, so you have to explain something off screen, like, oh, he got captured off screen, don't think about it.
As the group all threaten each other and yell, the East River Dragon lifts her head out of the river and yells at them. And I do like how the way she appears is kind of like how the Flying Dutchman appeared in the episode Arg, where she's just sleeping and then she's woken up by a bunch of idiots screaming. The first line out of her in the episode is her basically saying, why the hell are you all yelling at each other? Which, I'm sorry, that is funny. But
yes,
it is now time to talk about the East River Dragon herself. And she's basically a green water dragon with whiskers and really shining golden eyes. Her voice is a really neat echo effect, but for me, and I can't believe I'm going to say this after all the things we've said about this episode, the voice kind of hurts her for me. It would have worked better if she had more of a commanding voice. Something more like a Maleficent or like a Ludmilla or something like that. Instead of here, she sounds kind of like, I guess the best way to describe it would be, yeah, kind of like Luna from Hell of a Boss, basically. Like, think that kind of voice, electronic, pitched down, and you kind of get the point there, what it's like. And for me, it doesn't work. You needed more of like commanding, fearful voice, because that would have been funnier, to have like a Dragoness arrive and have it basically be like, why the hell are you all yelling like that? That would have worked better. That would have worked better for me. I don't know for the rest of you guys, but for me, the voice seemed awkward. Maybe that was the point, but I don't know. For me, it just didn't click.
Yeah. Shark?
Because I kind of like the idea of what they did with her, like this, like typical legendary commanding beast. It's just acting like a cranky neighbor that, hey, what's all that ruckus about there, and shutting everyone up of their property, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
Puss in Boots kind of did that, but did that kind of funnier again because the voice was funnier, like the whole Brooklyn Mother thing.
But I will say this, we already got like 2 other commanding presence dragons, like one pretty much taking Quentin and Julia to the underworld at one point. And we had another one who pretty much swallowed the Fiery Kingdom's mapmaker, who kind of went a little mad due to a key and got swallowed, but yeah. So I honestly think it makes sense that we have someone like her here, who's still definitely older than they are, like she said around like 2000 or something, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, having her just kind of hilarious, normal, just like weird crank neighbor voice, it definitely helps. Anyways.
I will say, for this being sci-fi, the dragon actually does look pretty good. It's not their normal cheap. They find a few ways to cut around doing a whole dragon, so it's just the head, which is probably why they were able to put so much detail in it. Props to them for actually working within their budget for once. The reverb voice, I don't mind as much. My issue is, after all of the insanity of this episode, she is the most normal thing in it, and that is kind of weird in and of itself.
Another, honestly, gripe I have with the dragon is that she shares a similar design to the other dragons that we've seen on this show, or at least I've seen on this show. Yeah, they all use the same head design, and they all work within the budget just like she does. Yeah, it's kind of similar. They add a few touches here and there, as well as color changes, but otherwise, yeah, they're all just the same, more or less. It's a little illusion breaking, but the characters more or less break me out of that for the most part.
Harold nervously tells the East River Dragon that they sent the group to find the elixir. She asks where it is as Julie presents the eggs to her and tells her that it is fertilized. The East River Dragon is shocked at this, saying it can't be hers as she's only 12,000 years old. She's too young to be a mother. And that's a pretty good gag, you know. She asks how Julie can hold it as Julie prepares to give it to her, which is the big drawback. We don't get too much screen time of her, which I think we deserved a little bit more after this huge build-up to it. But again, 3 plot lines, so they had to trim some stuff somewhere. Poppy says that the egg is hers and that she won off the Seine River Dragon. The East River Dragon basically notes with amusement that it is Amelie's egg, some amusement, as Julie asks if that is a good thing. The East River Dragon basically says, well, not for Amelie, and man, I want to see what a French dragon looks like in this universe. I'm sorry, I want to hear what a French dragon sounds like and looks like in this universe.
What if they're French Canadian?
Not true, though. The Seine is very much France. That'll be even more interesting.
We have some sort of French narrator talk about their quest on the kingdom.
That would be awesome, too. The East River Dragon then pulls a Buffalo Bill and demands that they put it in the basket. Julie then puts the egg in the basket, then lowers it as the group begs her not to do it. Poppy weeps and cries about her baby, then begins touching her own stomach. When we get back to the plot line, both Julie and 23 are talking about the former's resistance to the egg. Julie says that her and Quentin used to be the same, as 23 asks if they are magicians, but Julie says they are both normal humans. Julie says that she doesn't know what she is anymore, and that she now will outlive anyone. 23 notes that he is not human either, as he gets a hangover about the egg, and we then come back to Poppy and Quentin discussing their own egg hangovers, and ladies and gentlemen, this in our 100+ episodes of Fiery Discourse is, bar none, the weirdest, most out-of-pocket, moment we have ever discussed, and probably will ever discuss, at least until we get to the really, really bottom-of-the-barrel stuff, like the Alpha and Omega sequels. But for now, we're talking about this, because what happens is, Poppy explains how she got pregnant and how she forgot to get an abortion and how, she was afraid of having a baby, thought about giving it up for adoption. While she is saying all of this really relatively serious discussion that would not be out of place in an actual, sincere soap opera. Like, you could easily put this conversation on Dallas with, like, Sue Ellen and JR or something like that. It's happening during this scene, during this entire conversation. Quentin is rubbing eggs on his face. He's got, like, 2 eggs. He's rubbing it on his temples, and he's rubbing them on his cheeks. And it's like, it is so bizarre. I had to actually pause the video and rewind it to make sure I was actually seeing what I saw because, man.
Yep. Welcome to the Magicians. Serious drama, goofy ass premise.
Yep.
And magical world.
And rubbing eggs on the face, apparently. After the egg happened, Poppy then says that she wanted the East River Dragon for a specific purpose. She wanted the East River Dragon to eat her. So add that tally to the list of fetishes from this episode, because we have Vor with this now too, because, well then, you know?
Yep. The Magicians.
Yep.
Do you think it can get worse, and then, it does get worse.
Yep. Go ahead, Math.
It gets crazy. Anyways, Math.
All I'm saying after watching this episode and knowing that this was a relatively popular cable drama, your boos mean nothing. I've seen what you applaud.
Quentin says that it is a good thing that she is still there, as Poppy continues that when she touched the egg, she felt at peace with being a mother. Quentin then has to ask the big question, if the baby is his. Poppy says it is not, but she says that she wanted it to be, and asks if he wants to be a dad, saying that she'll make him the godfather. And yeah, the Magicians, this show would have been better if Michael Corleone was in it. You know, my house, the place where my kids play with my toys, Kay. That would have made this show way better if just Michael Corleone showed up and started screaming randomly, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like, compared to most of the other sci-fi shows, like I said, like Warehouse 13 still remains my favorite to this day, and the Stargate series I kind of grew up with a little bit. But yeah, when it comes to the Magicians, it's all right. Yeah, like we said, it's one of those shows that you really gotta lock in for, like I did. Like, yeah, they're all the episodes are there are like 5 seasons, 13 episodes of each one 40 minutes, and it is quite a watch to say the least. Like, yeah, the drama is a little off, and I will say that there were some moments that were less glorious than others, and there were some people who didn't really need to be villainized, or for that matter, kind of needed to lock in. But overall, I will say that this show definitely is a good one. And episodes like this, while batshit insane, are still very much enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to agree with you. The plot line basically ends with Harold arriving to give the stone to Julie, tells her that the East River Dragon wishes her well, then tells her to, quote, recover the truth and seek the binder. When Julie asks how, Harold just walks away, and this is the last time we see him and the East River Dragon. And yeah, the Magicians lasted for one more season before ending, and after everything that we have seen in this episode, I have to know, how the hell did this thing end? The only way I think it could end and be weirder than this is if they just pulled a Saint Elsewhere, you know? And not to spoil a 40-year-old medical drama TV series, but Saint Elsewhere infamously ended with the whole show being a dream of one of the child characters. It all took place in the snow globe of the child's imagination. That's literally how that show ended. And then that was a serious medical drama. So can this show beat it for sheer what the hell endings? We can only speculate.
Yeah, sadly, I still have yet to get to season 5, but to be honest, I think this right here is a pretty good place for me personally to stop. Like, as again, a person who binged this entire series, it was a pretty daunting task, but I managed to do it in under like a week or so. I applaud those who went farther than me, but I have no idea how this series ends. So no spoilers in the comments, please. For what we saw, it's pretty good, like I said.
But like I say, it has a fan base, and good on you if you see it. For someone like me who saw this show for the first time and only the first time, man, I don't know what to think about it. It's one of those things that really is something else. Let's put it that way. It's a one-of-a-kind show, and I give credit for weirdness, Any show that has the guts to do something like this has infinitely more of my respect than, like, let's do NCIS New Orleans. Let's do CSI Boise, Idaho. Stuff like that. Like the formulaic, like, cop dramas. At least this swung for the fences, It reached for the stars, And
Indeed.
I give him credit for being so weird. But that's going to lead us to the question of the week, which is, what is your favorite fantasy TV show? And I'm not sure if cartoons can count for this. I assume they could. But I picked a live action one just in case. Mine is going to be actually a show that a lot of people kind of forgot now, and it's kind of a shame because it was pretty good. was Merlin. This is a really, really good show. It was made by, I forget who it is. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I remember really, really liking the show. It did have a dragon in it, voiced by John Hurt, of all people, and
Nice.
it is really a great retelling of the whole Arthur mythos and that, and Merlin as a younger man depicting it is really, really good. And the ending for that show is, I remember the ending of that because it is really, really sad because, again, spoilers, the whole, if you know the Arthur mythos, you know what's going to happen, you know what happens with Camelot, you know what happens with Mordred and all that stuff. What happens is Merlin's dragon advisor passes away again. Spoilers, sorry if you haven't seen it. If you've seen it, skip ahead. What happens is Merlin is basically immortal. The series ends with Merlin in modern day London still searching heir to the throne of England, like the whole Pendragon line and stuff like that in the modern day. And that's how the series ends. It's shocking. It's a shocking, shocking ending. And yeah, it was a really, really great show as a whole. I want to see, it really was a lot of fun. Colin Morgan did a really, really great job as Merlin himself. It was a really amazing show. It was actually from the BBC, and the effects are really good. The acting was really good. It's one that a lot of people don't talk about nowadays, but it really had a lot of great moments in that. And I give it all the benefit in the world, for what they did with it. Yep, this is going to be my pick is Merlin TV show, especially because, again, it's a great, great... Angron, what would your pick be?
Yeah, that's going to be a little toughy because I don't just have one fantasy TV show. I have 3 for the most part. One is a live action pick, just to be safe like you are. Warehouse 13. Yeah, this show is a sci-fi show but unlike The Magicians, it's a little more grounded and is only contained to 2 plot points per season and whatnot, thankfully. However, the premise is ancient figures of mythos as well as history and popular media and whatnot, yada yada yada, leave behind little artifacts that have different abilities and or curses depending on what they are and all that junk. It's a little complicated, but yeah, I really enjoy this show. The characters are fun. Saul Rubinek is one of them, who, if you've seen Santa Slays, you'll know him from that show as well, and also Psych. I really enjoyed him. I enjoyed the other characters as well. Pete Latimer, Micah Baring, Claudia Donovan. Pretty much everyone on that show was amazing, and I still hold that show to very high regard to this day. The other animated show, believe it or not, we did talk about when we talked about D&D. A certain math machine knows what I'm talking about. One Piece. Yeah, I was very surprised when I found out this TV show was fantasy. I mean, it's not too surprising in hindsight, but yeah, I had my reservations. But yeah, since it counts, and good lordy is it amazing. It's pretty wild. Everything's connected, like Math said, and just ever since Wano, the animation has been gradually going upward, as well as the story and pacing as well. Yeah, sure, the live-action Netflix One Piece is doing better pacing-wise, but I wholeheartedly hold this one a little higher. Maybe if I see that one day, I'll give it a fair shot, but for now, I'm going to stick with this one. And for my third, it's sadly going to be a bit more depressing because I held this in high regard ages ago, and sadly this one ultimately blew that one out of the water. The show I'm talking about in that regard is Dragon Prince, and the show that's actually going to be on here is Vox Machina. Don't get me wrong, I love the Dragon Prince. The characters were amazing. What they did in season 7 I will not forgive, and arc 2 just overall went on a downward slope ever since, and I don't care what most of the fans say, you can't change my mind that they did some pretty underhanded stuff to try and rush the thing forward. But Vox Machina, on the other hand, oh lordy, there's a reason that I'm both excited and a little anxious that some people who worked on that are also going to be working on the new series Dragon King. Vox Machina is pretty much D&D, but as vulgar and as pretty much unhinged as you can pretty much imagine. Try and seduce a sphinx? Absolutely. Do ball tag? Absolutely. Go up a dragon sphinx. Seriously, this show makes the Magicians feel tame by comparison, and yet it does not need any various plot lines and too much context to really get into, because it is wild. It's based off a Critical Role, and the people who worked on it and who did the campaign absolutely deserve all the praise in the world. Like, seriously, we have talents like Angel Gone himself, Hulk from Marvel's Superhero Squad, Rex Raptor from Yu-Gi-Oh! As one of the characters as well. Oh, and Tulip. Let's not forget her. But yeah, I 100% hold these three shows as the peak of fantasy. Sorry for going on too long, but yeah, I absolutely love those three series. Dragon Prince, sorry, but Arc 2 just wasn't the same ever since they did a certain thing that I'm not going to spoil here.
We are going to talk about that in the future. And yeah, really great choices right there, you know?
Yep.
Let's see, Matthew, would your pick be?
So I've got a few that I could say, but I want to go a bit more traditional swords and sorcery for my pick. So I'm going old school here. The original Thundercats.
I feel ya.
I love this show. It is one of my favorite series of all time because it just leans so heavily into that traditional swords and sorcery fantasy style, that monster of the week sort of show, but it works so well within its own universe, and because it's so creative, it's able to do basically anything, come up with all these wild fantastical ideas and just have them be so fun and engaging to watch. Particularly the best part of the show to me is Mum Ra himself. It's not just that he's my favorite part of the show. Like, he is one of the best villains ever. Earl Hammond using that gravelly voice to bring just that raw power and intimidation to Mum Ra. I cannot oversell how fantastic that is. And he is just such a figure in animation and TV shows in general that you could pick out Mum Ra anywhere, and if you've ever seen any Thundercats,
Yeah.
you just know, oh shit, Mum Ra, that is scary as fuck. And that is the tell of a really good show, that you know the villain from 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's a little more grounded and a little more serious compared to the OG Thundercats, but goddamn, that was a series that I was really looking forward to seeing another season before they canceled it. And hottest of hot takes, I know a lot of people here don't really like Thundercats Roar, but I thought it was harmless. Corporate, but harmless for the most part. Yeah, it's not really, I'm not really looking forward to seeing them continue it at any point, really. But if they did, I'd give it a passive watch. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Thundercats is definitely one of the goats of the Ronkin Bass universe.
Yeah, I was literally just about to mention that if you only know Ronkin Bass from like the Christmas fishes like Rudolph, you have not seen any of their other like work. This is incredible. This was some of their best animation they have ever done. And it is such a shame, really such a shame, that like this almost was their swan song in a way, because it is so good, you know? The animation is amazing. The story is really complex. Like, compared to He-Man, I'm sorry, He-Man has Skeletor, and Skeletor is awesome, but in any other regard, I feel Thundercats absolutely 100% is better than He-Man in every other way.
Yeah.
You know, animation-wise, story-wise, villain-wise, any other way, with the exception of Skeletor, because Skeletor is awesome and he is just hilarious. But regardless, Thundercats is such a good show, and yes, Thundercats 2011 was also, and less said about Thundercats Roar, the better, because, like I say, that's really, really great choice right there, especially because, again, I love the fantasy stuff like that, and I really wish I could talk about it on the podcast, but probably going to be a long shot, so we'll see about that. Shark, what would your pick be?
So this was another case where I had to search if this show counted for the question of the week, and yeah, apparently it does. It does fall until the fantasy or urban fantasy and fantasy comedy plus, and that is The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Nice.
Yep, so you know the concept. Two kids beat the Grim Reaper at a game, and he's forced to be their best friend for all of eternity. And let's just say things get off the handle pretty quick because, yeah, who will have known? Having the Grim Reaper in your house is going to bring supernatural stuff to your normal life, and oh boy.
Oh, yes. That is a great, great choice there. There are so many good episodes and great moments.
One of my favorites is definitely the one with the dwarves, where the one with the please pass the egg salad, ruggle fraggle. And because it's hilarious on its own, but then they repeat the joke 4 times in a row, but still gets funnier each time. There's a whole flashback scene where you see why the dwarves are walking out the mushrooms, and Billy starts talking, and the kid goes into the flashback. What kind of sorcery is this? And oh boy. And that's just one example of many good episodes the show has.
Oh, absolutely. Billy and Mandy was such a great show. Another thing to point out about it that is really fantastic is it never really got like bad. Like some of the shows, like in its last seasons, maybe some of the episodes got a little silly, but at the same time, they really had such a sharp writing, you know? Like it was really pitch black humor at a lot of points, but it was funny. And it wasn't afraid to be scary either. Like the infamous Puddin versus the rabbit. That
Yep.
yeah.
Definitely, it could get very it could surprise you, like in the trike episode where Billy falls off its bike and his head on the pavement, he raises his head, 1 lemonade please, and half of its face is skin off. You see his skull, you see the part of the muscle, and in the next scene it's all fine, he just has a bandit, and it's like, it's not things that take you by surprise, but it's so absurd you can't help but laugh.
Oh, they went all out with that. And it is kind of a shame because Billy and Mandy, sadly, Maxwell Adams, the creator of it, he did not get the appreciation he deserved from Cartoon Network for it. And also, he had an idea for like a huge finale movie. And this is a couple of years ago. Mandy is an adult. She did not take over the world. She's working in a dead-end job in an office building or something like that. Grimm and Billy from another timeline go with her. And basically what happened is every single time Billy and Mandy actually died on the show, which is very frequent, by the way, that was an alternate timeline. And it turns out all of the alternate timeline dead Billy and Mandys want revenge on the original Billy and Mandy. And that is really had awesome concept art. It was going to be a musical, and it really is such a shame that Maxwell Adams did not get it made. And the reason they did not do it is because, according to Cartoon Network, kids don't know who Billy and Mandy are these days. And it's like, that wouldn't have been a problem if you didn't stop rerunning it. You know? Some of those things that really sucks. Because, again, that was a great show right there. And that never got the appreciation it deserved. But I love out of the box thinking like that with these answers, by the way. That is really a just fantastic choice right there. So, now it is time for the patent-pending Dragoness Scale, where we rank Dragoness from 1 to 10. This time we're reviewing the East River Dragon, and I might be the outlier here because I love the design. I really like the design. It's so good. As Matt said earlier, for the Sci-Fi Channel, it looks really well made in that. But I don't know, man, the voice kind of hurts it a little bit for me. She was actually going to get a lot higher score, believe it or not. If she had, as I said earlier, maybe it's my personal preference, if she had more of a commanding presence in that, and more of a presence in general, really, she would have easily gotten like a 9 out of 10. But be that as it may, it had the darkest a couple of points, and I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10. And the fact for that is, again, as I just mentioned, was the voice. Also, it's kind of due to the fact she doesn't really do anything in the episode. I wish that, considering it was her egg and everything was about her, that she had a couple of more minutes to shine in that. Like, maybe she chases them. Maybe she basically berates them all for being so stupid. Maybe we actually get to see more of how Dragon Society is like. But I feel like they had a great concept. They didn't do anything with her. Now, that being said, 7 out of 10 is still a great score because, again, she is the focal point of this plot line of the episode. And it is really great stuff there. But yeah, I'm going to have to stop at 7 out of 10 for her. And again, it really just, for me, boils down to the voice. I'm sorry, it really is just the voice. But design is great. Characterization of what we get of it is great. I do love how she is just done with all of them, like, instantly. Like, she doesn't want to know anything about this. She just wants the egg and wants to go to bed. And again, that is relatable. Yeah. But that's definitely going to be my vote for her, is 7 out of 10. Angron, what would yours be?
Yeah, I honestly, compared to the other two dragons that I saw on this TV series, she kind of has the weaker character, admittedly. Like, even compared to the dragon that swallowed the map maker, because, like, she had some personality. She was vicious. Ate him. It was like, tasty. Which, yeah, that's certainly a mood. But yeah, compared to them, she exists. Also, like I said, the design is a little lackluster in my opinion. It could be better. It could afford to splurge just a little more on the series, especially on making a little more of a unique dragon design. Like, I get it, there are limitations, but even then, I feel they could have at least done a little bit more to make her unique other than a palette swap and give her the same eyes. As for the voice, yeah, I don't hate it. I honestly kind of think the reverberation is kind of unneeded. Yeah, it makes her a little more unique compared to the other dragons who didn't really have voice effect and made her feel a little odd by comparison. But yeah, I think overall I'm just gonna give her a 6 out of 10. She's not bad, could be better. The fact that we didn't get more with her is a little disappointing, but that.
From what you say, it definitely seems like the other dragons had a lot more personality to them, which kind of makes it a bit of a regretful thing. But regardless, still a pretty good score. Math, what would you give her?
So I'll start with the fact that I've always had a bias against the face whisker things. I've never liked that. So unfortunately, that did dock a point for me. That said, and I'm giving sci-fi sort of a curve rating compared to how I normally do things. She looks great. Based on how sci-fi is normally so cheap and so terrible at doing anything, the fact that they realized we are on a very limited budget and figured out ways to work around that by just doing the head, that's really smart. I like that you can see like smoke billowing out of her nostril. I like how surprisingly detailed it is. I like that they do close-ups of her so you see her full head, like you see details in it. That is really nice and impressive for sci-fi. I give them credit for that. What kills me is after all of the insanity of this episode isn't even the writer's barely disguised fetish. This is the writer's openly proud fetish. He is the most normal and mundane thing in this. I don't want that from a dragon. I want fantastical. I want wild. I don't just want, I'm sick of your shit. The person in dragon form. That, and for the all the build up, we only get 90 seconds of her. That just hurts. And that's what brings it ultimately down to a 7 for me.
And like I said, you had an entire climax that isn't really even a climax. That's like the saddest part of it, at least for me in that. But yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Shark, what would your vote be?
The thing that hurts her most easily is the screen time. Like, I'm pretty sure she was there for less than a minute or barely one, but for the little she does, it's like really interesting. Like, I always love the idea of taking a dragon and like making them, dragons, these legendary, threatening, and divine creatures, and making them something other than that, or giving them more of a quote-unquote friendly movement into them, like Mistral being the prankster of the group, Rennie being a total nerd in the comic. So in this case, taking a dragon and basically making her a cranky neighbor is like, okay, this is a funny twist and all of that. I don't mind much the voice itself, but yeah, the electric effect can be distracting there.
Yeah.
And for a TV show, the CGI is actually really impressive. Like Matt said, the fact that we even got close-up of her is like, yeah, we want to show up this. We are not using any cheap CGI. And okay, she kind of helps in ending that plotline of the episode. So okay, she has a reason to be there. It's a short one, but a reason, but well, still a short one. So I think I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10 for her in this case.
I understand. Wow, almost a perfect a line of scores right there. That's been happening more frequently.
Yeah, you know what? For generosity's sake, I'm also going to give her a 7 out of 10.
Okay, all right, nice, glad to see it. So, yep, pretty much 7 out of 10s across the board there. That's probably rarer than 10 in a lot of ways. So, that's going to be it for this week. If you have any questions, or if you want to see what would have happened if the East River Dragon met the West River Dragon.
Nice.
You can email us at fiorydiscourse@alec.com. Visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fiorydiscourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel and like and hit the bell icon. Like and subscribe to the playlist. Hit the bell icon. Leave a comment. Any all comments are appreciated. Also, one of our co-hosts, Lucky Evie, is looking to move to a group home in the UK that will also be in the description. Any and all help for that will be appreciated. Next week, we're going to be going back to something a lot less adult as we talk about the 1990 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode, Raphael Meets His Match.
Now,
Yep.
Explain that.
Yep. Cowabunga, folks, because that's going to be a fun one for sure. And surprisingly, it took this long to get us to classic Turtles, but spoilers, this is far from the last episode we're going to be doing about the Turtles. Far, far from it. I think we realistically can do an episode on almost every single iteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, aside from the live-action movies. I really think we have a case there.
definitely. Also, Cowabunga.
Yeah, perfect.
Had
perfect.
Had to.
But that'll be it for this week. And until then, thank you all so much for watching and take care.
Later.
Bye bye.
Adios. See you all next week.
So.